Hello, energy party people. I'm going to wait a second for the crowd to gather and for the crowd to quiet down because the crowd is going wild. Hello, it's me, Colleen McCann, aka Rosie the Riveter. I was trying to perfect my stance, but yeah, anyway. Welcome to Magic Mondays. And no one's watching yet, so it's always so much fun to do this first part. I'm feeling a little snippy. Yeah. So this first part, I know people are going to inevitably watch, but yep, here we go. All right. So this might be a quickie. I know I say that every time, and it's always an hour. But this might be a quickie today. Yeah, and no one's watching yet, so I'm kind of thinking, fuck it. Kind of an asshole like that. Yeah, I've already had a morning, so I'm a little annoyed. Yeah, but I worked through it, and now I'm just like, I just want to do something else. Anyway, all right, well, I'll just do this for myself. So, today's show is sponsored by Toot Sweet. Toot makes really great glutinous products for those who can take it. I'm sorry, Toot Sweet. That's right, sponsored by Toot Sweet. Thanks, Toot. I try to avoid your products, but this weekend kind of went on a little bit of a wheat rampage. I'm sensitive to gluten, so it's best if I don't. Maybe that's part of my snippiness. Um, yeah, I had a a sandwich with bread. I just had a hankering for Jersey Mike's. Sometimes you just need a sando. And then last night we had Islands, and I had a regular old turkey burger. Yum! The Kilauea is the best, just so you know, because it has other glutinous things on it, like little onion rings that are fried in wheat, of course. Okay. Wow, I'm just feeling super lackluster. Yeah. Oh, two eyeballs. How exciting. Hi, whoever you are. If you feel like checking in, that'd be great. Oh, you already did. I didn't have my computer on in the right place. Hi, Erica. Erica, you're saying hi to everyone, and it's just you, me, and one other mystery person. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bitter. Maybe I need to work on this when I'm done here. Um, but I was kind of set up for just a little bit of, oh, we lost them, whoever they are. Yeah. Anyway, maybe today's not the best day to do this, but damn it, I show up every Monday at 11 for the last 8, 9 months. Wow, it's been that long. Yeah, and that's my promise. So I'm keeping my promise. Um, yeah. So I'll just go into it. So this morning, I had literally gotten dressed to work out, which is like pulling teeth for me. It's definitely one of my things I'm just not good at. Or I get good at it for a second. Can't believe I'd ever stop. Why would I stop? I feel so great. And then I stop. Something always happens. I see something shiny and then I'm off to do that. Anyway, yeah. So this morning, a friend of mine contacted me, sent me a text. I just put my shoes on, like literally, I was going to work out, and she told me that her daughter was having some surgery tomorrow, and she was worried for her, and her daughter felt like she was worried. Her daughter was worried she was going to die. And so, me being like, and she asked for my help. So I'm like, okay, well, I happen to be free at this moment. So we got on the phone and we talked about it. Come to find out, um, the daughter wants nothing to do with energy work. So she doesn't want her mom to ever help her out. Her mom's really powerful. Um, her mom didn't get permission on the necessary level energetically to work on her. So she asked if I would. And so we got on the phone and I'm thinking, oh, abdominal surgery. Oh, get on the phone. Come to find out that I did have permission, inevitably or eventually. I did check in on the daughter and zero showed up energetically. Like everything's fine. Surgery will be fine, whatever. Um, turns out it's an elective surgery. And the daughter is somebody that I've just heard irritating things about over the years, and I won't go into it. Blah blah blah. You know these people, but yeah. And so I'm like, why the fuck am I here? Like, why am I doing this? And I've just been a lot more honest with myself and see how it feels in my body. And it's like my body was okay with checking. There was no argument there, but my brain was like, fuck this. What the fuck? And then I just kind of went off about this person's daughter, which you should never do that. And this is a grown ass woman, just so you know, this daughter. And it's like, okay, first of all, she doesn't want energy work from her mom. It's a religious thing on top of it. And like, I feel like we're going behind her back. Like, why are we doing this? It's like, it's an elective surgery and nothing showed up. So, whatever. And I just found myself just, well, like I'm kind of feeling right now, just telling the story. It's like, ugh, why the fuck am I doing this? I stopped. I was going to exercise. But then I'm like, oh, I get wrapped up in somebody else's shit. And then and no, nothing against my friend because she's wonderful. Yeah, and she of course wants to help her daughter. Um, yeah, but it was presented to me in a more dramatic way than it actually was. And so I'm like, ugh. Anyway, I checked. I asked every single question I could think of, and nothing was showing up. I had permission to work with her, but nothing was showing up. So, whatever. So, me and my friend get off the phone, and then I'm just all fucking pissed off. It's like, oh, I was feeling great, and now I feel shitty. So, so the good news is I take these opportunities when I can stand it. And since I was already sitting in my office chair, the couch, with my pendulum in hand, so I was like, okay, I'm going to ask about this. And the reason I even bring it up um, is just to give you an idea of things you can check for if you want, or just kind of just, I think I'm a teacher by example a lot of the time. And here's my example of how I work my way through this. Um, yeah, so I asked energetically for myself, like, okay, all these feelings coming up for me of being irritated and pissed off and fuck you and all that, does that belong to me? Yeah, all that energy. Erica said this has happened to her so many times, and it is indeed irritating. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your support. Anyway, so I was asking about like, okay, so all this energy that I'm feeling, all this irritation that's been like riled up beautifully, I must say, like my friend contacting me and me buying into like the emergency of it and all of that, it's just stuff for me to look at. So I'm grateful for the experience, even though there was a lot of irritation and a lot of like, ugh! Yeah. So I looked into it and I asked if all the energy was mine, because sometimes I might just be picking up on somebody else's energy and I have, clear that. But this I got was all mine. So, okay. So my magic next question, the process I've been working with lately has been like, okay, so I'm feeling all this upset, this irritation. I ask if it all belongs to me. It does. Does it all belong to me from this lifetime? No. And that's where it gets more interesting. Um, so I got that it was from a few lifetimes ago, and then, whatever showed up, this and that showed up. I have it all journaled, but we don't need to go through all that. And then I got, oh, and I believe what was involved was a deep, dark part of me from that past lifetime was showing up to be cleared or to bring some light to that dark part. So I did my thing. Inevitably, there were hidden ancestral vows and this and that. I cleared it and felt better. Hi, Yvonne. I'm glad you're here. You haven't missed anything. Yeah, I'm just talking about my irritation from this morning and the subsequent clearing. Yeah, so I cleared all of that and I journaled it all. And I even ended it with a smiley face, like, yay. And I even wrote a message to my friend who had contacted me this morning. And I'm like, hey, that brought up all kinds of shit for me that I got to clear, so thank you. Yeah, and I really do mean that, even though I'm expressing my irritation, because that's an easy place for me to go, unfortunately. Um, yeah, so I cleaned up, I think, maybe a couple past lives of that. Whatever. We're at the end point, and I sent those parts of me to the light. Thank you, Jesus. Who is my main dead person go-to guy, escort. Yeah, and so I was feeling so much better from that. I'm like, well, while I'm here, let's check in. Let's look for another irritating thing to work on. What was I thinking? Yeah, so bottom line, twice this year now. Once, state of California, fuck you. Um, but anyway, I love California. I've lived here all my life. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining us. Um, but like earlier this year, we got a random, no explanation of a $1,500 check. And I was thinking, well, I even asked some tax people, like our tax guy had no idea. Tried calling the state. Good luck with that. Fuck you, franchise tax board. But anyway, yeah. And so couldn't like we figured, well, we'll just throw it in a savings account because inevitably somebody will want it back. But we couldn't get any answers on it. And inevitably, oh, that's when we got the explanation of, oh, you were sent this check in error. Fuck you. So anyway, sorry, everyone, but well, sorry, not sorry. You know what? I show up how I'm feeling. Hi, Mimi. I show up how I'm feeling, and these days I have a hard time. I don't even want to cover up how I'm feeling because there's always clearing to be done, and yeah. So blah blah blah. So that was months ago. So we returned the money. It was just in a savings account. It was just waiting to go back. It was fun to see a little extra money, but whatever. And then the other day we got this 700, oh, we got a notice that we had $718 waiting for us. Um, and it was from this prince in Nigeria who needed, I'm kidding. Yeah. No, nothing scammerish. It's a company called Beamer. We have a Beamer. I'm pointing to it over here. I forget all like PEMF instrument, whatever, you lie on it and it helps your microcirculation, and people have all kinds of healings with it. And yeah, so and it's one of those things like we don't actively try to sell them. Dave is an authorized dealer, but we don't go to any trouble to try to sell them. But my dad is above us in the system, and I figured, oh, he sold one, and we get our chunk of change around it because they're not cheap. Um, oh, your neighbor has a Beamer. Oh, cool. Yeah, so yeah, it's a cool thing. But anyway, so we were notified that clearly somebody had sold one, and we got our money from it. And so Dave spent the better part of probably 2 hours on the phone with them trying to figure out, okay, how do we log on? And we had to pay our dues in order to get that money. So that was $144. So Dave finally talks to a million people at the company. I promise this story will be over soon. And next thing we know, we have the $718 in our checking account minus the 144 for our dues. Who cares? But it's like, oh, thanks, universe. That's beautiful. Like, what a fun surprise. Extra money? Fuck yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, like, do we need it to survive? No, but I'm always happy to add to our savings. Yeah, anywho. So I contacted my dad. I sent him a very brief email because I'm kind of like, ugh, with my parents for the last 5+ years. Anyway, but I just said, hey, I hope you're well. We're good. Congratulations / thanks for selling a Beamer. Colleen. That was it. And he wrote back, he's like, well, sorry to say I didn't sell one and it was done in error. And so I'm just waiting for these fuckers to like ask for their money back. So I got done sorting out all the like clearing the irritation that got riled up dealing with my friend's daughter. And then I'm like looking for trouble. I'm like, that was fun. It's always fun when it's over. During, it's like, But it's like, okay, I'm like, oh, what's another thing I can look at right now and like clean up? Like, what's another thing riling me up? And I thought about these two times of getting money and just waiting for this next one, say, send us back the money. So if it's happening to me, it's happening for me. The universe has my back 100% of the time. Does it always feel good? Hell no. But the universe, I truly believe the universe is 100% on my side and is in a conspiracy for my happiness. So when I get triggered by something or go looking for trouble for a trigger, like this morning, yeah, I clean up whatever is showing up in that trigger because I truly believe triggers are just old energy bubbling up to the surface looking for clearing. If you've watched my show ever, you know that's how I look at things. And life is so much better and so much more lovely and so much less scary as a result. So I did a bunch of cleanup, and so I asked, okay, once again, just like with my friend's daughter thing where I got riled up. I asked, okay, all this energy of irritation, I actually sat with it for a second, backing up here. Like, okay, how do I feel? Instead of just jumping into the clearing, I sat with it for a second. I'm like, how do I feel? What does this bring up for me? Anger, because that is, man, I have a lot of anger to clear, and there are just different varieties of anger. I wish I could just clear it out in one fell swoop, but it shows up when it's needed. Yeah, so I cleared up, yeah, whatever. I did a bunch of, so I asked if all of this upset, or I sat with my, sorry, all riled up. Calm down. Let's have a minute of calm. Okay, so I sat with it, and it's like, what are the feelings I have here? Disappointment, anger, irritation, a lot of fuck you. Yeah. And so I asked, like I did before, like, okay, does all this upset that I'm feeling right now about this money that we get and then gets taken away, it's a theme this year. Is there something energetic for me to look at? Yes. Okay. All this energy belongs to me. Yes. It belongs to me from this lifetime. Nope. So yeah, it does suck that like chunks of money have been given to us and then psych, we have to give it back. And that's blows. That just blows. But yeah, that would probably suck to anybody. But the fact that it's brought up all this like in me, that's what I'm bringing this up for. That's what's to look at. And usually when we get triggered, it's not even about the thing that triggered us. The real juiciness that needs to be cleared is old stuff bubbling up. Usually it's just facilitated in showing up by the irritating things like franchise tax board in California and Beamer. Anyway, yeah, and I have to say, back when I worked for the welfare department, every so often, well, it's usually because clients wouldn't tell the truth about working, and then we'd find out, and then they'd receive a notice of overpayment, and then we'd have to collect on that. Yeah, so I feel for the companies. Well, not franchise tax board, fuck you, but Beamer, I'll cut you some slack. Anyway, but did lots of clearing on it, and then was able to take a shower, and I just couldn't deal with my hair today. So hence Rosie the Riveter in a wife beater. That's right, with a bra. No nipple action today. Sorry, folks. Yeah. Anyway, did I have something else to say about that? I guess not. But once again, it was like past lives came up, and hidden ancestral vows, and yeah, and and it's interesting because I hit lots of roadblocks. So like some old technology had to be cleared. Oh yeah, there was a gnarly dimensional spiral special category, which are my favorite, negative portal, that showed up. So that was interesting. Yeah, so I got a lot of good work done, but I'm kind of exhausted. So I'm not really irritated anymore, just irritated telling the story. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Let's change gears, shall we? Okay, and just once again, in case you missed it, today's episode is sponsored by Toot Sweet. Toot makes great wheat products, which I try to avoid. But Toot makes all things glutinous for those who can handle it. Toots Wheat. That's right. Okay. So, oh, there's a magical thing that happened last week, but it's not my story. So, and I know you're watching right now, so it happened to one of my viewers, but I'm just going to tell a little bit about it. So, this person, who I love, she was watching the show and she said she got to watch it. She lives in a hotter place than San Diego, which is not even hot here. It's crazy. It's like, I think it's supposed to be a high of 81, like through next Wednesday, or 77 some days. Like, but this menopausal gal will still find the heat. Yeah. But anyway, she said I talked to her shortly after my show last week, and she was so excited to tell me that she got to listen or watch outside on her deck, because it wasn't in the triple digits where she lives. And as she was listening, she said it was during the clearing and she said there's hummingbirds everywhere. I would love to see where she lives because it sounds like lots of wildlife, that ruin her garden, which sucks. But bears, what? So exciting. Anyway, but she said that while I was doing a healing or something, a hummingbird came right up to her face and she thought it was going to land on her nose. It was that close, and it just hovered in front of her and it looked her right in the eye, and she said she could see its wisdom. Like, oh, it's more magical than I'm conveying, but wow. And she thought it had something to do with my voice, and she also had, and that may or may not be true. I appreciate the props. Uh, but I think it has to do with her magic. Maybe I think it's a combination. But she said, that she really felt like there was something in the group, with that hummingbird experience. So I'm just telling you, group. Yeah, you might want to look up and see if you see any hummingbirds today and just think there's a little extra magic in it for you. Yeah. And oh yeah, so she said I continued the healing, and like I did another thing, and it came back and did the same exact thing. What? So like so I just see the magic, and she and I discussed at length all the magic around it. Um because we were going to work on some heart stuff for her the next day, and hummingbirds are about heart energy, etc. Um, yeah, and I was going to say something else and I can't even remember what it was, but super, super cool. So, and I just so appreciate, her sharing that with me and with us. So we'll just assume hummingbird energy is with us today, and always, because they're just amazing little magic creatures. I understand that they're fierce badasses, but to me they're just adorable little cutie pies bringing signs of magic. Anyway, but just gosh, was it before I talked to her or after? But sometime in that same time period, I just happened to look out in the backyard, and just past the deck, I saw the head and some pointy ears of some animal, and I'm like, does not compute. Because it's like, what is that? It's not a dog. And it almost looked deer-like when it ran away, because it was so like kind of a little bit tall, and kind of skinny. It was a coyote. There was a coyote just lounging, in our backyard, under the jacaranda tree, which sounds so poetic. The coyote under the jacaranda tree. Anyway, yeah. And I had two immediate thoughts. My very first thought was like, does not compute. And oh my God, like I always thought that coyotes, you'd only see them during the daylight. Wow. I don't know if you can hear that, but there is literal riveting happening outside. My landlord's here doing something quietly, as he promised. Yeah. And I've got my Rosie the Riveter thing going. I don't know how to do. Anyway, yeah, but there was this coyote, and it's like I always thought coyotes only showed up if they were like sick, or had a problem. But this one, it was lying under the tree. I think it was just taking a break, and we have it's a kind of a wild backyard, but it's cool. Um, yeah, and its head was up. It's just kind of looking around. It was just like, doo, doo, doo. I didn't see any frothing of the mouth or any wounds, and so I wanted to go outside and get a closer look, and it heard the screen door because our screen door takes like a lot to move. Anyway, yeah. So, but it took off into the neighbor's yard, and then I ran out front, and I saw it ran into our driveway, and then down our steep driveway, and into another neighbor's yard, and then it went under the fence at Ellen's Auto Repair. That's right. And I thought, oh, I'm not even going to tell my neighbors about it because they see so much more wildlife on their property than we do. Um, but then a while later, I heard screaming, and it was my neighbor, my lovely neighbor who I love so much. We just live next to the best people who are super woo woo too. And she was like, it was her screaming, and she was like banging pots and pans because that coyote had come back into their backyard, and they've got cats or delicious snacks. Um, yeah. And so, of course, what was brought up for her was like, Mama Bear, like, get the fuck off my property and get away from my babies. Um, yeah. And she and I had a long chat about that afterwards. And it just goes to show, we all see things through our own filters. So my filters around a wild animal is like, magic, what's the symbology around this? And I looked up coyote and all this cool stuff, and she was just triggered into fear and upset. Anyway, we don't need to go into that. I talked her off the cliff. Yeah, so yay. But coyote in the backyard. Yeah. And where we live, there's just more open space. We live in San Diego County, not in San Diego proper, and there's just a lot of room for wildlife. Like my neighbors see raccoons and stuff like that. And yeah. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, oh, and I'll just mention another clearing thing that happened yesterday because I thought it was really cool. Yeah, so Dave was doing whatever he was doing, and he was about to go pick up the barrels, which we have to take down this really long, steep driveway for the trash truck because there's no way in hell they're going to come up here. Um, yeah, it's painful to watch the big trucks come up here and have to try to turn around. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah. But Dave told me right before he walked out the door, he's like, yeah, can you check me when I get back? Like, I'm feeling sad. And I was like, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not happy that you're sad, but yeah, you're a grown ass man who can identify an emotion and wants to work on it. I have no words. Anyway, oh, sure I do. Yeah, so when he got back from his voyage, we checked in on it, and I asked, okay, this sadness all belongs to you? Yes. Okay. Does it belong to you in this lifetime? No. So, I'm sorry. It did. It was from this lifetime. Duh, that was the whole story. And I got that it belonged to him around like 10 or 11, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. And at some point during this, before I get to that, Erica says that they have a mountain lion that has been getting really close lately. Wow. 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 Yeah. Magic. And I understand, like, people would be fearful if they have cats that are outside, but yeah. But ultimately, all that really matters is not the event itself so much, it's what it brings up for you. It's bubbling up to the surface saying, heal me, address me, bring some light to me so I don't have to keep being part of the dirty windshield that perceive life through. Yeah, so in checking on Dave's thing, at some point, checking on Dave's thing, that sounds like a personal problem. Yeah, so at some point during all of this, he I don't know when it happens, who cares? But he got to the point where he was going like, oh. and dots started connecting. Hmm, not gonna cry. Um, yeah. And so it was like this whole network of interesting things that came together that culminated in this healing. And basically, he said, hey, remember a couple weeks ago when I said to him, like, sometimes I get a real hankering for, like, I want to own a house again. And then other times I'm like, renting's all right. Like, someday we'll have a house, but whatever. But sometimes I just get a real bee in my bonnet about buying a house again. Probably not in San Diego County, because it's crazy expensive here. Well, the weather's really nice, really nice. In case you haven't gotten the memo, there's a reason why people pay so much here. When Dave bought a house in Alabama when he was married and all that, way back in the day, they paid under $100,000 for a decent, nice house. And here, I have a couple friends trying to buy a house, and um, it doesn't sound like you can really get anything for under like five. And it's ridiculous. I don't want to have to struggle to save money and not enjoy my life in the process. That's the black and white picture I paint. Um, like, I want to enjoy my life now. I don't want to make myself crazy and possibly sick by saving up, like working so hard to the point where, yeah, anyway, I think you get my idea. And if you don't, that's okay too. Anyway, but a couple of weeks ago, I had said this to Dave, like, hey, I think I really like want to buy a house. And I'm like, I even said out loud to him, like, ooh, I think I can see you cringing right now. And so he was reminding me yesterday of when I said that to him. I'm like, yeah, I remember. And, and the dots that came together for him, who cares about all the details, but the dots that came together for him, um, which are part of why he cringed, is when he was like, he said somewhere between, I think, fifth and sixth grade. So I think that's like 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. Um, that's when his whole family, as a family, they were looking for a new house to buy. And they, looked and looked, and that never happened. And about 6 months later after that, his parents got divorced. So in his little boy mind, he made it mean, oh, we didn't find a house, so the divorce happened. Hmm, just crying for my little sweetie. Anyway, yeah, so like magic, like that popped into his head. He hadn't thought about that. He wasn't dwelling on that, now, but that occurred to him, and that's why he cringed about the thought of buying a house and everything around that. And I'm sure there's parts of him of like, he's a provider and he hasn't provided me a house to buy, whatever. But we started looking at it and clearing it. Yeah. And that energy, yeah, there was all kinds of things to clear. Who cares what it was? But I'm sure there were hidden ancestral vows and this and that. Oh yeah, he even had a shared chakra to that whole experience that needed to be cleared. And so we cleaned it all up, got that we were done, sent that old part of him to the light, even though it's from this lifetime. And then I don't know if it was immediate or a little while later, but I checked in with him throughout the day, like, so are you still feeling sad? It's like, nope. Nope. So cool. So once again, one less energetic bug stain on the windshield of the dirty windshield of his perception. Yeah, and I got to have my happy husband again. Yeah, that was a lot to explain. As I already said, this is going to be a quickie, and we've already gone 34 minutes. Anywho, yeah. So let's see if there's anything else I need to say. Oh, and for any of you who wish me a happy half birthday last Wednesday, thank you so much. It's funny putting things on Facebook. I put it on my regular Facebook page, and I think I said something like, whatever. I said, you might be jealous, haha, but that day I was 55.5 years old. And that's a little game I play. And Dave and I play, like anytime we see um, three or more of the same number anywhere. That's just a symbol or a signal magic. Just a reminder that there's always magic in the air and the universe has our back and is in a conspiracy for our happiness and all of that. Yeah, and it's just funny to me when I post something on Facebook, which isn't very often, um, but I'll post something that I think is just like the funniest thing or the best thing ever, and I want the world to see it. Crickets, crickets. But this one, it's like it got like so many responses, and yeah, like about my half birthday, which is hilarious. Anyway, but thank you for anybody who's wished me a happy half birthday. So now I can legit say I'm 55 and a half. Pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm 6 months now into my senior discount age. I'll take it. Okay. And as I've said before, yeah, hitting 50 and getting older, like I've never tripped on age until 50. So I had 50 years of not tripping on age. I knew somebody back when I was like 19 and she was 21. She was having her 21st or 22nd birthday and she cried for her through her whole party because it's all downhill from here because that's her belief. Like that's ludicrous. I'd much rather be me now and getting older because I do energy work now. I am with the love of my life. I do work that is highly fulfilling and saves my ass time and time again. And it's only going to get deeper and more interesting as I get older. I'm going to be a fucking kick-ass old lady someday doing sessions for people, or maybe I'll be clearing countries. Who knows? Who knows? That's a few years from now. Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer, yeah. I rocked this hair thing for the first time with Jennifer the other day because she was kind enough to be interviewed for my book. For the book shapingness of it. Yeah, anyway, to see what people really need, which I have a pretty good idea doing sessions for all these years. I know what people are struggling with, but I've been getting some really great answers that are really helpful for my book. So thank you, Jennifer. And I'll just say it. I get to see Jennifer in person on Thursday. Because we're going to her house, because, well, we don't need to know the reason why. Yeah, so I think we are ready now for a group healing. Yay! Okay, and I'm just going to say it again because I'm working on being okay with having a bigger audience, and I need to learn Instagram. I need to learn how to really utilize YouTube, and I guess Instagram TV has a thing, and there's so many options. Oh, Facebook algorithms, I can say it, can hide our posts. Yes, and thank you. 55.5 is rad. Why can't I talk now? 55.5 is rad. Okay. Yeah, Dave turned 60 this year, so that's a mind fucker. But it's all good. Like, I wouldn't want him any other way because all the years of him becoming this almost 60-year-old man, I appreciate every experience. And this might sound crazy and TMI, but Dave and I were both a little wild back in our youths. Yeah, we were both a little free, if you know what I mean. But we even look at that for each other, like it's all good. It's like I appreciate every person he's ever been with, because yeah. Anyway, TMI. Are you grossed out? Yeah, but I appreciate every experience he's been through, which led him to me and led him to be the ever-expanding, beautiful soul that he is. And he's a kick-ass chiropractor. If you live in San Diego and you get a chance to be adjusted by Dave, he's amazing. He's not that a regular chiropractor is a bad thing, but yeah, he's beyond just regular chiropractic. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to that healing I mentioned. Okay, you get to see more of my wife beater. Pretty sweet. You're welcome. Okay, so my name is Colleen. Yep. It's safe and appropriate to work with the group today. Yep. Oh, but before I do that, that's what I meant to mention. On the 23rd, so a couple Magic Mondays from now, right? Yeah. I'm going to have the lovely Annabelle on my show. I'm going to share a screen or however that works. Uh, yeah. Oh, like I did with Mimi that day. So I'm going to share a screen with her and we're going to work on her, but it's for the whole group. And I'm mentioning this over and over because if you're interested in the topics, I want your creative or your energetic or whatever juices to get flowing and start pre-paving um, to have like a beautiful experience, hopefully a beautiful breakthrough for yourself on the subject of self-esteem and moving forward on a project. Um, yeah, so I'm going to be working specifically on Annabelle, but it's for the whole group. I just want that to be real clear. And she's real clear on that too, and she's willing to be the person. So, and I'm open to doing stuff like that with other people if there's something that you're just having a real hard time with. Well, as I say that, I'm thinking, well, if you're having a real hard time with something, it might be something you just need a session, and I can't do everything for free. Um, but if you ever have a really good idea of like, and you want to be the guinea pig for it, and we share a screen, throw it my way, send me a message, or contact me on my website, energyhealingwithcolleen.com. Okay, but that's on the 23rd, and we're working on self-esteem and moving forward on a project. So here we go. So for today, for the group, so my name is Colleen. Yes. It's safe and appropriate to work with the group today. Yes. Okay. The first order of business is on my master menu. It is. Okay. Okay. So this is in column A. It is. This is in column B. No. Okay. This is in an odd numbered row. Yes. This is in row 1. No. I feel like my pendulum's being weird. This is in row 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17. Okay, this is a process that my guides, the vast majority of the words I use are the words my guides have given me, and this is a particular process for the group, and this one is called Relaxing Energy Magic. So for those of you who are playing, well, let's make sure this is safe and appropriate for the group and from the light. Yep. Okay, are we ready? Yes. So if you want to play, just relax. If you can, you might want to close your eyes and just to have less distraction and more focus inward. But if you can't, that's okay too. So give us a moment. So once again, this is called Relaxing Energy Magic. Here we go. For whatever reason, this makes my feet buzz a little bit. Okay. All right. So did we successfully complete this process for the group? We did. Okay. Is there something else energetic to do for the group? Yeah. Is somebody trying to get my attention? Okay, my pendulum's just kind of being weird. All right. So this is on my master menu. No. This is on my newer menu. No. Is this some form of hidden ancestral vow? Yep. Okay. All right. So let's see what we have here. This is a super secret hidden ancestral vow. No. Facilitating? No. Awakening? No. Celibacy, romantic, sexual resetting, dismantling? No. Diminished, unsupported? No. Family, hidden ancestral vow? No. So many categories. So dazzling, right? Right? Okay, this is a deciphering hidden ancestral vow. Ooh. Oh yeah, I had a couple of those show up for me today during my irritation and upset. Okay, even a new one came through called deciphering. I'm like, really? A deciphering hidden ancestral vow called deciphering. Okay. Well, I do like to say that I went to the School of Redundancy school. So yeah. Okay. And that I stole that from The Far Side. Okay, so there's a deciphering hidden ancestral vow for the group. Yes, this one's called anger. No. Disrespect, unsupported, acknowledging, reboot, pentagram. It's not pentagram, but when that came up for me the other day and the name of it was pentagram, I'm like, ew, isn't that like some satanic thing? And then I Googled pentagram and it's like, oh, it's a cross for Wiccans. Like, oh gosh, okay. So it's not like it's an inherently like, ooh, symbol. Okay, good. So, but it's not that. Alchemy Rampage. Oh, it's Alchemy Rampage. That's the name of the hidden ancestral vow. So this is a deciphering hidden ancestral vow called Deciphering Rampage. Then I also have a little note here just to myself that says this is my new band name. Um, yeah, and Dave came up with another one the other day. We heard somebody on a podcast talk about toxic positivity. And Dave's like, oh yeah, toxic positivity opens for Alchemy Rampage. And then there was another one that I forgot last night. But anyway, okay, but Alchemy Rampage. So these hidden ancestral vows, the way I look at them is they are cleaning up old shit that we've brought forward from our ancestors, probably trying to stay alive. So they made vows of like, never, I won't show my gifts, I promise. Please keep me in the clan. Don't banish me to the woods, and so I get killed by an animal because I have no people to protect me. So back in the days of yours, we really needed our people. We still need our people, but it's a little bit different now. But anyway, or they made vows to do that so they weren't killed for being who they are, and then probably taught their kids to do the same, blah, blah, blah. So whatever we're bringing forward into these lifetimes, I'm trying to clear as much of that shit as humanly possible. And just to put it out there, one of the reasons I do my work, well, just part of the, I'm hoping part of the benefit is, and I've asked the universe, please, please, please don't make me come back here again. Don't make me come back to this planet. I love Mother Earth. It's just all the other fuckers that I'm having a problem with. Just kidding. People are great and they're the worst. So I'm sure if you're sensitive, you understand what I mean. Yeah, so blah, blah, blah. These hidden ancestral vows, I see them as cleaning up old stuff we brought forward from our ancestors, our magical ancestors, and we're letting all that shit go so we can be more who we are meant to be on this planet. Um, yeah, and feel like badasses doing it. The world needs us. Someday it's going to be normal for people to say, who's your energy healer? Or, oh my gosh, I need a new energy healer. Who can I go to? And as I've mentioned before in my book, part of what I've written in the preface is I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to coax magic people out of hiding. So that's part of why I'm doing this show. Anyway, so Alchemy Rampage. So the group is ready for this and it's safe and appropriate and everyone's willing to receive this information. Yep. Okay, are we ready? All right, so if you're playing, just relax. Can't do it wrong, even if you're not relaxing. Give me a second. All right. Did we successfully clear this for the group? We did. Oh, thanks, Mimi. Well, first of all, Erica said Alchemy Rampage should be a band. And maybe, oh my gosh, well, Erica, maybe you and your husband could be part of it, being actual musicians and all. I think I'd like to be the lead singer. Um, yeah, anyway, not that I'm qualified. I've been told I'm a good singer, but yeah. But Mimi says, I love the energy healer seeds that you are planting. Come on, world, get you some energy healers. Yeah. And I think it's just, well, okay, I came across this the other day. I'll try to make this fast before we do the next healing. Well, first of all, did we successfully clear this for the group? Yes, okay, good. But I went to the dentist the other day, and I love my dentist, and I love her husband, who's the office manager. They're just lovely people. It's really hard. Well, okay, we don't need to go there. So I had my appointment and come home, and I was just telling Dave about something about like, oh yeah, the husband. I don't think the wife is interested, the dentist. I don't think she would be interested in this kind of stuff, but the husband I mentioned, he asked what I've been doing for the last several months, and I'm like, well, I'm writing my book, and blah, blah, blah. I think I've mentioned it before, and he's like, book? Like, what's it about? And I told him, and he's like, what? And I just started talking about energetic stuff, and he started telling me about how his wife, well, whatever. We don't need to go into that. Just in case they ever watch this. I don't think they ever will. I send out a million invitations and I get what I get. Yeah, so, but I started going off about like, well, or going on about how, like, when I feel a symptom, I clear it energetically, and more often than not, my symptom goes away or my upset goes away, blah, blah, blah. And I think this was brand new information to him. So I get it. But basically got home and was talking about like, oh yeah, I think he was kind of interested. He kept saying, like, he kept bringing it up, like even as I was leaving, he's like, I want to buy your first copy, or I want to buy a book. I want to buy your book. I'm like, okay, cool. So Dave and I were talking about that, and then I got a phone call from him saying like, he's very polite. He's not from this country. So he's polite. Anyway, and he's like, oh, hi, Miss Colleen. I just want to let you know. So when I was at the dentist earlier, the dentist was sniffing, and she told me like, yeah, her allergies have been really rough. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then next thing I know, her husband's calling me saying like, oh, well, her cough was getting worse and she's not feeling so good. And so we shut down the office for the rest of the day and we went and got a COVID test. Like, okay. He's like, I'll let you know tomorrow what the results are. Like, okay, great. And I'm like, me just always wanting to like make things happen. He and I had just been talking about this. So like moments before. And, oh my gosh, her real band is called Alchemy Star. Erica's real band. That's right, Alchemy. So Alchemy Rampage can open up for you guys. How about that? And then Toxic Positivity can open up for all of us. Okay, now that we got that settled. Oh, can we get Tig Notaro to open? She's my favorite female comedian. I just fucking love her. Anyway, yeah, One Mississippi on Amazon Prime. So good. Too bad it got cut short because of fucking Louis C.K. couldn't keep it in his pants, and he was like behind the whole thing. And yeah, I used to love him too. Gross. Come on, what's with these dudes? Why does it ever seem okay for a man to do shit like that? It's baffling. It's baffling. Ugh. Anyway, yeah. So I'm on the phone with my dentist's husband. He's telling me about the COVID scare. Spoiler alert, the next morning he contacted me and said, no, we're fine. Okay, I wasn't worried, but I checked myself just to make sure. No, we're fine. And even if I found out I had COVID, if I was positive, guess what I would be doing? Ta-da! I'd be checking myself and clearing whatever the virus would have to lock onto and have to show me a lesson of some sort. Yeah, so I live in a lot less fear. I do believe COVID is real. I'm not one of those people. But there's always viruses around and they're always mutating because that's what viruses do. Yeah, so it's really important to take care of your own health and make sure your immune system is working like it's supposed to, because we are always up against stuff. Always. Ugh. Anyway, I get frustrated when the world hasn't caught up. When I finally realize something, Mary Ann! Aw, Mary Ann's here. How exciting. Okay, well, welcome to the last 7 minutes of my show. So I'm so happy you're here. Okay, what I wanted to say earlier, I'm all over the place, I know, and I'll finish my story. But if you know anybody who'd be interested in getting a healing from my show, or of course, a real one, these are real too, but a personal one, a one-on-one session, well, send them to my show and they can get a taste of what it's like. Or you can send them to my website, energyhealingwithcolleen.com. Anyway, so just to wrap up my story, before I hung up with my dentist husband, he tells me like, uh-oh, we just went and got a COVID test. I'm like, hey, if I had your permission, I'd be happy to check and see if anything energetic came up for your wife, my doctor, my dentist, and see if we can knock out the symptoms. And I think he didn't know what to do with that information, so I never heard from him until the next morning when he's like, "We're fine." Like, "Okay, good, thanks." Yeah, I think I kind of forget that people don't realize you can check energy, the energy behind anything. And if I had, well, I'm just putting it out there to anybody watching who might know somebody in this predicament, or if it's you, if you have a disease, even if they're saying like, "Oh, there's no hope," or whatever, that's bullshit. And, that might be your path and it might be time for you to check out off the planet. But if it's not, there might be some juicy tidbits to clean up so that you feel better. Just saying, just saying. Um, I know I sound irritated. It's just like I said, my irritation is like, I want people to get it because the medical profession is important. Well, especially emergency, but whatever. Okay. Don't need to go there. But everything that appears medical doesn't have to be some drawn out, long, horrible experience. Okay, what about torn meniscus in the knee? Well, that's where emergency surgery is important. That's where things like that. Like I always say, like if I break my arm, I'm sure that I was trying to say certainly and sure as fuck at the same time. I wouldn't go to my chiropractor husband for that. I would go to a hospital. But last year I've mentioned before, all of a sudden I had shortness of breath. I think I started coughing. I had a sore throat all of a sudden. And what did I do? Checked in on it, cleaned some stuff up, and then I felt fine. And I worked on a friend recently. Oh, they won't do surgery. Ooh, well, that might be something interesting to check on. Seriously, Marianne and everybody, anything can be checked on energetically. And even if it is a real, like, physical thing that has to be handled physically, if you get rid of the energetic components that are making it worse, it just makes everything better. Like maybe it makes for an easier recovery if you get it cleared. A torn meniscus and they won't do surgery, well, I find that really intriguing. If it were me, of course I would check it out. Yeah, so, and if you're ever interested in a session, blah, 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 energyhealingwithcolleen.com. Okay, let's do one more healing thing. And if you have any questions or anything, I'm surprised by the lack of questions people send me. Maybe you don't have questions. That's okay too. Yeah. Okay. Back to work, Colleen. Okay, so let's do one more clearing for the group. So, is there something else we can clear for the group today? Yes. This is on my master menu? No. This is on my newer menu? No. This is one of those hidden ancestral vows? Yeppers. Okay. So, all right. This is, oh, it's you. Oh, well, maybe we should have a chat about that, Marianne. Okay, so this hidden ancestral vow, this is a super secret hidden ancestral vow. Okay, so let me get out my chart. And Jennifer, since I'm going to be seeing you this week, and I told you I'd bring you a few of my charts, and I told you in advance they look like shit because they have so much writing all over them. But you may have inspired me to clean some of them up. No promises, but here's hoping. Okay, so let's see. Ugh. Usually when I'm working, I have space for all of my stuff. So if you hear me like whining or ing, it's because I don't have space on my desk here. Okay, so this is in column A. No. Column B. No. Column C. Yeah, okay. This is in an odd numbered row. No, this is in an even numbered row. Yes, this is in row 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 16. 16 is our winner. Okay, all it says is this is a super secret hidden ancestral vow of falsehood. So who knows what that means for each of us? Who cares? So it's safe and appropriate to go ahead and clear this for the group. Yes. And everybody who is interested in this is willing to receive this information. Yep. This is safe and appropriate from the light. Are we ready? Yep. Okay. If you're playing, just relax. Okay. Did we successfully clear this super secret hidden ancestral vow of falsehood for the group? Yes. Okay, good. Is that a good place to stop for the group? It sure is. It is 12 o'clock. Wow. Yet again, it was an hour when I said it's going to be a quickie. Oh well. Rosie the Riveter here saying, thank you so much for joining me. Really consider what I said earlier about the 23rd when I have my guest Annabelle, and we're going to work through her for the group of we're going to work on self-esteem and moving forward on a project. So if you're interested, you might want to journal about it. You might want to get into the feeling place of like, ooh, how exciting, because the reason I'm mentioning this again is I truly believe the magic's already started. So if you want to hop on that train, that magic train, um, uh, please do so. And you don't have to do any prep work. You can just show up that day, but I'm offering the opportunity to get a little bit into it and, yeah, get excited about like get your energy field excited about clearing some self-esteem bullshit. We all have some, you know. Anyway, all right. So that being said, thank you for showing up today, or whether you're watching now or in the future. And if you have any people in your life who you think might be interested in my show, if only for the healing part, I'm here for the sponsors because I really enjoy the sponsors. But if you're into this healing thing, I'm kidding. Please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your friends. They'll probably think you're nuts. But check it out if you like, or have them check it out if they like. And Marianne, you said you're sorry you were late, but you can watch this, you can rewatch this and all of its silliness in a few minutes when it posts. Anyway, yeah, and Marianne, if you ever want to chat about what's going on with you, let me know. Send me a message. Okay, everybody, energy party people, party's over for today, but enjoy your own energetic parties throughout the week, and I very much look forward to seeing you guys next Monday. Thank you. And by doing this, it helps me work out my shit too, so yay. It's almost like we're all here to help each other on this planet. Anyway, thank you. I love you for showing up. Bye. How do I stop?